OK, let's go to our political editor, Andy Bell. He's in Westminster for us tonight. So, Andy, good news and bad news as far as the strikes go. However, there's still a lot more to resolve, isn't there?
There is a lot more to resolve, Claudia Liza, but I think the government has real feeling of relief this evening that they do seem to have made a breakthrough when it comes to strikes in the NHS. Certainly for a start, it's no good look for any government to be in dispute with nurses. Also relief, as one government source said to me, there's been a lot of hard work, been a lot of late nights, but also a lot of constructive negotiation, as they put it. And it does seem that the government was keen to try and get the figure that was being demanded by some unions and by the RCN, for instance, down, and felt they had to get to a position where it was an offer they could meet. And it does appear that some extra government money has been found. But it's interesting because in the budget yesterday, the Chancellor certainly gave no hint of that. He really didn't make much of a reference at all to the industrial action that was going on. But it does look as if some money has been found from somewhere. As for that budget, there was a lot else in it, and people have been picking over that today.
If his budget had a theme, it was getting people back to work. So there was a promise to help parents with childcare costs and the abolition of the cap on pension contributions. That is controversial, but Jeremy Hunt says it will help stop senior staff quitting the NHS.
This is the quickest way. It will take effect in 2 weeks' time. And, for families up and down the country, what I would say is it really matters to have an NHS that's functioning. We've got 7 million people on the waiting list, and we are spending in the NHS £3 billion a year on the locum doctor and agency nurse bill, partly because doctors are leaving at precisely the moment the NHS needs them the most.
The British Medical Association has said there's evidence already of some doctors changing their retirement plans. But this policy will mean about £1 billion less will be collected in tax, and Labour say they'll reverse it.
We will oppose this totally untargeted scheme for the very wealthiest, and we will put this measure to a vote in Parliament next week. Yeah. And I defy members on the benches opposite to vote in favour of a policy that they know will do absolutely nothing to lift the living standards of their constituents.
Do you guys know how to do high fives?
For those hard-pressed constituents, there was some help in yesterday's budget. The promises on childcare, for instance. But in the last 24 hours, the budget numbers and those from the Office for Budget Responsibility have been crunched. And for most, it's a grim outlook.
We're looking at something like a 5% hit to incomes this year and next. So it's a pretty big hit. It'll feel like a living standards recession, even if the OBR is telling us we're not getting a technical recession in GDP terms. So the outlook is tough for families.
This was the response in Leeds today.
I think we're kind of okay at the moment, but it's kind of like everyone's getting, a little bit worse off.
People need the help now. They don't want the help in 24 or 26 or 28. They need it now.
I think it'll mean childcare is easier, more affordable, can go back to work more hours. That's the main thing that I took away from it, really.
He wants his budget to build prosperity for the years ahead. But for most, the real worry is the pressures they are facing in the next months and weeks. Andy Bell, 5 News.